Hey, friends. Welcome to another edition of the Writer's Book Nook. I'm Sherry Winston, the writer, and I am a mystery mama. I love a good mystery, a good suspense, and a good thriller. And I see online thrillers are very popular. The thriller girlies, as they call themselves, they do love something that is dark and scary. But one author that I've never heard them mention is Robert Bryndza. Robert Bryndza is someone I've been reading for years. And the two series of his that I want to discuss are the first one is called the Erika Foster series. Now, Erika Foster is a police, I think, a DCI. It's British. I get confused about their hierarchy, but she is in charge of the homicide unit. When the first book starts, Girl in the Ice is the title of the first book in the Erika Foster series. And when the series begins, I think Erika is just coming back from a long sabbatical. She had a terrible thing that happened 2.5 years prior to where the series started, where she was in charge of a team that was doing a breach on what they thought was a drugs operation, and it wound up being an ambush, and five of the policemen who were there, the special forces people, were killed. One of them was her husband, so she has had to carry the weight of that guilt, and she continues to bear that guilt. And so I like Erica, and I grew to like her more and more throughout the series, but she is not an easy woman. Let's say that. She is not trying to win your affection or do those things. She's not trying to demur. How about that? She is not demure. She is the opposite. So, in The Girl in the Ice, one of the things that I love about Robert Bryndza is the fact that in his story, he switches POV, he switches the point of view. And this book starts out with the narrator in the mind of the victim. So we know that she is blundering around in a downtown or the edge of town area. Seems like she's maybe left a bar or left some friends and had it out with somebody, and how you get mad and you're like, I don't have to put up with this, do I? I don't think so. But what she didn't take into account was that her little skinny white behind, you do not go out there in your skinny dress in winter wobbling around on those heels. But sometimes you have to live and learn. And I guess sometimes, according to this book, you got to die and learn. And that's what happens to this young lady. She's walking along and she gets car sharked. And what I mean by that is someone in a car comes by, and they know each other, and I believe he was wherever she just left, and they have an exchange. She gets angry. I think she hits the car with her hand, or but she storms off again. So a little bit later she encounters another car, and the person gets out and she says something to them, and they punch her right in the face, and they render her stunned, throw her in the back seat of the car. And the next time she's seen, she has been thrown into a pond and she's literally frozen under the ice. And one of the details in this story that I've never forgotten, I listened to this book, oh my gosh, maybe 10 years ago. But I believe when they found her, as she's walking down the street, the narrator describes that she has this little pink purse. And I believe they found the little pink purse under ice. So I just never forgot the visual. That was sort of haunting to me. That I don't know why that was so haunting. It was bad enough that the girl got thrown in and her favorite precious little pink purse got thrown in too. And what really amps this case up is the fact that the girl is a socialite. Her father is somebody, how that goes. She's not from the bad side of town. She's from the good side of town where this kind of thing just never happens. So that's how Erika and her people get involved. And it turns into just a cat and mouse game, a back and forth. Robert Bryndza does that very well. But it is fast paced. It does not have a lot of superfluous description. You get what you need, but he does expertly balance the professional, the procedural of the investigation with the personal of both the victim's family and the detective. You really learn a lot about Erika in this first book. So these books can be listened to separately. I think the first five were Audible onlys, at least when I listened to them. Whether or not they are available on Kindle now or some other platform, I don't know. But the rest of them, and there are 10, if I didn't say that before, there are 10 books in the series. And so that's how book one starts out. Now, book two is a straight up serial killer hunt. And this time the story starts in the mind of the killer, and the killer is the narrator is referring to the killer as the shadow. And the shadow has, from listening to his internal monologue, that he has been stalking this person. Now, this man is in his house, in his kitchen, cooking his meal, his microwave meal, because they do say that, minding his own business. And then here comes the shadow lurking around, going through the back, finding a window that I think he'd earlier cased and knew he would be able to exploit, and getting inside. And the next time you see this man, he is a murder victim. And so that is how, again, how Erika's team gets involved. The thing about these books also is that the characters, they don't just pick up where they left off with some nebulous timeline based on their last case. These books have some time in between. 2 years, the characters get older, their lives evolve, things change. So if you did choose to read a book out of order, which I do all the time, I don't even know if I started with the first. No, I think I did. This might be one of the few series where I actually started with book one. But even if you are, and I don't think story wise it would matter that much, but the characters do grow and change. That's all I'm saying. So something may be going on down in book seven that you could not have imagined in book one, but it will make sense as a standalone in book seven if that's how you roll. So, like I said, that's book number two, and it's called Night Stalker, and it is a straight up serial killer hunt. Now, this one is one of my favorites. Book seven, Fatal Witness, is my favorite. It moves fast. It has multiple POVs. I love this book, and it starts out with a bang. Excuse me, I'm drinking mineral water. In the very opening sequence, a man comes to the door of an apartment and knocks, and the woman opens the door and he bum rushes her. He pushes the door hard. It hits her in the face. I think he punches her and immediately puts cuffs on her and throws her in a back bedroom. Now, she does everything she can to try and escape, but it's to no avail. The man is clearly looking for something. You don't know what he's looking for, but he is looking for something. He's frustrated, he can't find it, and you're inside the POV of the killer. And so when he's killing her, you know what he's doing. And it is brutal. It is a brutal death. This book, unlike a lot of Bryndza's books, does have a pretty good gasp moment to it earlier on in the book, not like these books where they just have all this crazy stuff at the end. No. But anyway, Robert Bryndza in Fatal Witness, Erika Foster, the way she gets involved is she's just moved into a new neighborhood. And it just happens to be the same neighborhood where this offense has taken place. So she's walking along, just trying to get to the chippy. That's all she wants. She just wants to get her some fish and chips. And hears this woman's blood curdling scream. And so she runs over to see if everything is okay. And there's a woman in the doorway and she's screaming, "Oh, my sister is dead." And so Erika has her to leave the apartment. She goes in, she clears it to make sure there's nobody else there. And then she sees the murder victim. And it's just a brutal scene. So that is how her people get involved. I will tell you that this is a book that I've listened to multiple times because initially it was because I liked the story and I probably ran out of books and I needed something to re-listen to and it was still on deck. But later I have re-listened to it multiple times, as I said, because I realized that as an author, as a writer, I had so much respect for his ability, Bryndza's ability to move from point to point of view. And in this book, they are in vastly different places. So this person is way over here in the north, and this one is more down in the south, and there are things happening there, there are secrets over there. So it really kept it interesting. And it's fascinating how he is able to do this and you never get lost. I have read multiple points of view books where I finally had to put them down. I was like, "You're trying to do too much. I'm lost. I don't know who's talking. I don't know who's doing what." It aggravates me. So to find an author who can do that, it's something that I've studied. I listen to these books and it's like I'm studying him, and to do that and maintain the pulse pounding rate that he does. There are other authors who do it, many other authors. Most of the authors that I have mentioned as being among my favorites are authors who have the multiple viewpoint, and which is interesting because for all of the books that I've written for kids, except one, and I think I've got 15 books, but all of those books are first person singular. So when I wrote, oh God, The Braid Girls, which is a fabulous book that if you don't have it, oh, I don't have a copy of it over here. It's a great summer book. I'm sorry, that was just my PSA. But it was the first time I tried multiple points of view, and I had three characters. But even with that, it wasn't an omniscient or a third person. It was, I switched from first person to each girl, and that creates its own issues. You've got to make sure they all sound different, blah. But doing it in third person and still being able to impart so much of the character, their background, their knowledge, their fears, their phobias. You really get a sense of who Erika Foster is, who her second in command is. Her name is Kate Moss, by the way, and she's a big girl. She's part of the Thickums Club. So it's an ongoing joke in the series about the police officer, Kate Marshall, who does not look like the model, Kate Moss. And I'm really hoping that if there's a book 11 that Bryndza takes us more into Kate's life. Kate has a wife and she and her wife have children. And she's just such a great, well developed character that I want to know more about her. But that's Fatal Witness. It is by far my favorite out of the 10 books in the series. And they're all really good. They all have their positives. But let's say if I gave Night Stalker 4 stars, Fatal Witness would definitely be 5 stars. It's a great book. Now, the other series that Bryndza has features Kate Marshall. And Kate Marshall, it's really called the Nine Elms series. It starts out where Kate is a young police officer working under the supervision of Peter Conway. And together, she and Peter are part of a team that have been hunting a serial killer in the area with cannibalistic tendencies. Let's say that. So things happen, and Kate is ultimately attacked by the Nine Elms cannibal and has to use all her wits to save her life and the life of her unborn child, which she has just recently come to accept is going to be a part of her life now. And you would think that because she caught this killer, that she would be the toast of the town. Well, certain details come out about the killer and her, let's say, relationship to the killer. And she winds up leaving her job and moving far away and trying to start over. So the story picks up 15 years later. Kate has had some struggles with sobriety. Her mom and dad have been raising her son. She's had a lot of struggles, and she had to, I guess, as many do, she had to hit rock bottom before she was able to bring herself back around. But she did it. Now she is a professor at a small university, and she is also a PI, or I think maybe a PI in training. And in any event, she is just trying to live a quiet, normal life as far away from the Nine Elms killer as possible. And so it's hard talking about this and not doing spoilers, but I'm going to do my best. So anyway, she gets pulled into a case where I believe they think there could be some relationship to the Nine Elms killer. And thus it begins, I guess. She also works with a young man who is also a professor or works at the university, and who also helps her with the PI business. So it's a really great introduction to the series. It's not my favorite book in this series, but it's a great transition. It's a great book to get you ready for the rest of the series. Now, the second book is my favorite in this series, and it's called Shadow Sands. And Shadow Sands, the name comes from a reservoir called the Shadow Sands Reservoir. So one day, Kate's son is visiting her, and she's delighted. She's always happy when she can have him to herself, and he wants to go scuba diving. He has learned that there is an underwater city in the area, and he would like to explore it. So he and his mother is an avid swimmer. Swimming is what has helped her sobriety. So they go for it. They go to the water. They go exploring, they find the city. I remember this one scene where they're describing, I think, a chapel with its steeple and everything, and how they swim by it, and it's become like a reef. There's all sorts of algae and fish and wildlife living in the various nooks and crannies of the buildings in this city. So it's really fascinating. And I love the way it's described and the movement. But there's also that sense of dread because you just know something's going to happen while they're down there. And it does. Her son stumbles across a dead body and he freaks out, and she has to save him from going up too fast so that he doesn't get the bends. And then she goes down and she investigates the body, and then she comes up, and then they call the police. Now, for whatever reason, the police chief decides very quickly that this looks like some kind of boating accident. Kate does not agree, but she doesn't have a badge anymore, and she doesn't have agency over this agency. So she's an outsider. Still, she's an outsider with skills, and her skills tell her this ain't right. Something is wrong here. So, as she and Tristan dig deeper, they learn that there's all sorts of myths and legends about people coming up missing by this reservoir. And there's all this folklore around it. This girl disappeared. This boy disappeared. It just seems to be indiscriminate. It's not just women. There's the young men they found underwater. So they continue to investigate. And then a young woman who has befriended Tristan at the university comes up missing. And when Tristan is suspected of having something to do with her disappearance, it really sparks in Kate that we've got to take action. We've got to be proactive because they're not running an investigation properly. They're not making the connections that they ought to make. So she jumps into action. Well, she continues. She's already been in action. But it's just a really good thriller. It has a little bit of shock to it, but Bryndza isn't somebody who's going to wait until the end of the book and then have, oh, the killer was the mother. She can walk after all. And boom, where you're just like, oh, that's not what we're doing here. This is a classic combination of a police procedural and an intelligent, well told, fast paced thriller. It's an excellent book. The whole series, both of these series, excellent. Now, the next book, that's Shadow Sands. The next book in the series is Darkness Falls. And this is a really good one, too. Really interesting. Again, you start in the headspace of the killer, that he has stalked this woman. He has followed her into this deserted parking garage. And he does plan on subduing her and taking her. And so you see the woman approaching. You have, again, that dread. It's almost like you start to hear that shallow breathing because you know what's going to happen. And this young woman has no idea. She's a reporter. She's leaving work. She's parked in this somewhat abandoned parking area because there's parking issues over on her side. This person has been stalking her, so he knows that. And even though she puts up a hell of a fight, he takes her. So that was 12 years before the book starts. The story that happened in the past. So now 12 years have passed, and the mother has not been able to let go of the fact that no trace of her daughter was ever found. Where's my daughter? She just can't let it go. So now the mom is living with a wealthy boyfriend, and he allows her, or he, yes, bankrolls Kate and Tristan taking on this job. Now, at first, Kate is very leery of it because it is a 12-year-old cold case where the police didn't get far, all of that kind of thing. But the mother is so impassioned. She's so passionate about how this loss has affected her life and what it would mean to just have some idea of what happened, to have something to bury, just something. So Kate and Tristan take the job. So this is their first big case. They're on the move. But almost instantly, once they start digging around and asking questions, things start happening. And while they are doing this, there is an active serial killer at work. So this one is probably a little slower. It's really probably closer to being a flat out mystery than a thriller, in the sense of a lot of you guys in the community, how you classify thrillers. But it does an excellent job of going back and forth in time. There are these things that happen revolving around a certain property. It's a really good story. You don't get bogged down in it. I thought it was awesome. I loved it. And I hope if you give the series a chance, that you give Darkness Falls a chance too. Now, my last one that I have is called The Last Victim. And this one also deals with a cold case. Janie Macklin, was a London schoolgirl from a seedy side of town who disappeared in 1988. Well, now there's a true crime podcast that has posited that perhaps she was the victim of the Nine Elms killer. So they want to hire Kate and Tristan to look into the case to find out, did the Nine Elms killer take Janie? Was she one of his victims? And that means that Kate has to have a face to face with the old man, which he has become in prison. She has no desire to sit down and talk to him, but I believe it's part of her contract. I'm not sure, but I believe it is. So it doesn't take much work. With a little work, her and Tristan start to wade through clandestine phone calls and decades old secrets and deteriorate DNA evidence that was taken in the Janie's case. It's a mess, but they are getting pushback at every turn. And Kate is stubborn. The more you try to push her over and tell her, no, you can't do this, the more she digs in. I like that about her. I might know somebody with that personality myself. So, anyway, it's gripping, it's fast paced. There is a great sense of menace in this particular one. This one, and I would say in the Erika Foster series, was it? I don't know if I mentioned this one. Deadly Secrets or The Night Stalker. I think it was Deadly Secrets. There was something in that one that really creeped me out. I didn't mention that one. I should have. Anyway, there are 10 books in the Erika Foster series. There are 5 books, I want to say, in the Nine Elms series. As I said, I did do some trolling online, and I do believe that there's going to be another Erika Foster book. Not certain about the Nine Elms series, but I love Kate. I absolutely love her. And I really hope that Kate Marshall, that series continues to grow because it's been fabulous. I've had a really good time with it. And I've had a really good time with you. I have had a day. I've had a time. I have recorded this video. This will be the 3rd time because I keep turning off the audio. I pray that when I stop this thing now, that I can hear it, or I just might go mad. Anyway, you don't need to know about all that. I love you. I'm so glad you came and that you're spending time with me in my little writer's book nook. I am still working on my mystery novel. I'm really excited. I don't know if I mentioned this in the last video, but I have sent it off, what I have of it, the partial manuscript, to my agent. I'm working on doing a really involved outline for her so that if she tries to pitch it, she has something to show them. I'm really enjoying this process of working on this adult novel. But every day this is how I know I'm still a children's author. Every day when I step outside, anything I do, new, see people, I go to a different place, a new children's book idea pops into my head all day. If I leave the house 3 times, I come home with 3 different book ideas. I glanced out the window before I started doing this, and this child was walking past the house, this little girl, minding her own business. And I looked at her, and instantly she became like a character in a story of mine. I can't help myself. So I'll never stop being a children's author. But it has been fun wearing grown up shoes and talking about grown up things and in book form. So we'll see how I do. Babies, I have to go. I have been running my mouth forever. You have been great, and it's been great to be with you. I'll see you at the bookstore. Bye bye.